Hi, I'm Mark Hibbert. I'm the bereavement coordinator for the Trust. The Trust bereavement team works across the Leeds General Infirmary and St James's Hospital, and we help support those families and those parents that are bereaved. The main function of our role is to help the Trust discharge its legal responsibilities when patients die in hospital, but also to help support relatives and parents when their loved ones die within our care and our hospitals. Sadly, some people die in our hospitals and there is nobody else to take on arrangements following their death, and that's where the Trust Bereavement Service comes in. We arrange their financial affairs and other matters after the death, but more importantly, we arrange the funeral. That can be the most personal part of what we do in providing the service. We work with Co-op Funeral Care, who are the Trust's main funeral director. Arranging hospital funerals is a significant part of the work that the team does. Last year alone, we arranged 120 adult hospital funerals and 155 for children and infants. The contract with the Co-op is new, but it's provided us with an exciting opportunity to improve the service we offer to parents and to relatives of those recently bereaved. Although the contract with the Co-op Funeral Care is relatively new, it's provided us with real opportunity to make some incredible service improvements and has hugely benefited the recently bereaved.
I think it's important to say that now that the Co-op are on board with us here at the hospital, it isn't just a contract between us and them. It allows us to bring into the families and make it more personal for them, and they can have more of a personal input into what we do for their loved one or relative. They have complete involvement into the funeral. They have the choice of many things, including what the funeral directors wear, the music, the type of service, whether they would like use of a chaplain or not. They can have the choice of what type of coffin they would like if they're having a baby or children's service. We involve them with the music, whether they would like a choice of a chaplain, even to the point of what the funeral directors might wear on that day. Recently, I was organising a funeral for a massive Leeds Rhinos fan, and he went to every single match apparently, and the funeral directors wore ties with regards to Leeds Rhinos. The work that we do here at the hospital sometimes leads to complete detective work. It's not always easy, but sometimes we do have to try and trace families that have not been on the scene for many, many years. Recently, I found 3 children of a lady that died here in the hospital who was adopted out over 40 years ago, was able to bring them on board, and they all attended the funeral.
I want to tell you a little bit today about a gentleman that recently passed away in the Trust. His name was Andre. He had no relatives and we knew little information about him, but the team worked really hard in digging around and finding as much information as they can so that we could provide a really good service for Andre. We found that he was a huge member of the local Polish Catholic community, and through speaking to the Polish Catholic community and his church and his neighbours and friends, we were able to get enough information to provide a service that really fitted what he wanted and what we hope he would have liked. Our funeral directors from the Co-op are going to give you a little bit of information about what they did to make sure the service for Andre was just what he would have wanted.
My name is Angela and I'm the Principal Funeral Director at Cooperative Funeral Care, and it was a real privilege to do Andre's funeral. The day we had quite a lot of information about Andre, and that was that he was a Polish Catholic. So when we actually arrived at church, because rarely do we do these types of funerals for the hospital contract, if I'm honest. So again, it was a privilege, because when we arrived at church, we found that there was lots of people in church, which would have pleased Andre no end, no doubt, because it was obviously full of all his own parishioners that was there, because I understand that Andre actually spent quite a lot of time at the Polish Catholic Centre as well. So we went there, and then obviously there was then a small coach that the parishioners had actually paid for to take them then up to the cemetery to do the burial there as well. And also there was a Polish priest, so he actually got the Mass, the Catholic Mass, said in his native tongue. So it was very, very good. Despite the fact that the funeral was actually in 2 different locations, one being the Polish Catholic Church and the other obviously the interment at the Catholic Cemetery, we were really pleased that we could offer Andre this service, which then gave him a very dignified funeral.
Chaplains are involved in many of the funerals which the hospital organises. These can be from babies to the age of quite a senior adult, and everything really in between. And we try and treat each situation and each funeral with unique importance. So if we can do anything to assist the family to remember their loved one, then we do that as far as we can. And we work very closely with bereavement liaison and the contract funeral directors in order to achieve that. And certainly since the new contract began, we've enjoyed a very positive working relationship with the co-op, and we've been able to work with them where people have particular wishes. It might be around an order of service or something to be included in the funeral, a personal item perhaps that needs to be brought back to the hospital to be placed with their loved one in the casket. And all of that, as far as we can, we strive to achieve. It's so important that we get that right for all kinds of reasons, not least the well-being of the people remembering that individual. It may be that if things don't go quite right, it can cause a huge amount of stress to them, and therefore it's vital that we get it right in each and every instance, and that's what we attempt to do.